Thank you all for joining us today for this Campfire session on the new course that we just published, AI Literacy for Teachers, level 1 of 3. But yeah, today I'll go through some icebreaking news as always. I've actually collected some various surveys and stats for us to look at. And then I'll walk through the certification contents, and then we can talk about implementation. And then there will be some time for you all to share what you all have already been doing at your schools, and also if you have any feedback for us already on the course. Yeah. And as always, the recording will be available later. Questions are welcome at any time. Feel free to just raise your hand or interrupt me. But yeah, let's get started. So for the icebreaking news, I kind of wanted to look at a range of studies from 2023 until now. So this was actually from 2023 and from the Pew Research Center, and they were looking at teacher sentiment on AI, and people were very mixed, pretty in a balanced way. But there were a quarter of teachers who believed that AI would do more harm than benefit to education. And then the next year, this is more general, they were just looking at US adults. But they also looked at US adults versus AI experts. And that knowledge about AI or work in AI really shifted the sentiment, where people who work in AI were a lot more positive about how AI will impact society, which, there could be some correlation rather than causation there. But I just thought that was pretty interesting to look at. Because also, when you're looking at how many teachers have been trained on AI, this is looking at district information. But back in fall 2023, only a quarter of districts were really doing any sort of training at all. And now it's really on the rise, where for fall 2025, projected 3/4 of districts will have had some sort of training with their teachers. And what these districts were talking about when they were interviewed about this was that they really focused on addressing teacher confusion and fears, and also they introduced some productivity tools, but few actually addressed student AI use. So it kind of feels like this is the transition where first people need to be informed about how AI works, its limitations, and really that comes with the framing of how can we address what teachers are concerned about and what education should be concerned about. And then we can go into actually showing people the tools and how they can use it, and also how they can use it with students. Yeah, I don't know if you all have any thoughts on this, if you all want to share anything, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting shift in the mentality of how training is being approached right now. Yeah, I'll go ahead and dive into the certification contents. We'll have more time at the end. Oh, Gisela, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think one of the things, as a world language teacher, one of the biggest fears is the students being able to cheat the system, which is something that we saw, especially during the pandemic. At the time, they weren't the tools that we have now. How can you block a student from opening another tab and being able to find the answers to questions, quizzes, and things that you do? And AI at the time was already getting really good. And by that, I mean, it was just basically dictionaries. And I'm not just talking about Google Translate, but others as well. So one of the things that I did in order to be able to use Flint at the school where I was before, um, this past year, was that I said, well, no writing. And if they write, it's something that they already wrote on paper that I already highlighted and read without using the electronic. And then they would go into the AI, and the AI would give them feedback. This is after they wrote it. And then I also created a lot of, you have to listen to the question and then respond where they weren't able to see the script. And so there were ways that I was able to use Flint in a way that I couldn't use any other AI available out there.
Mm.
So
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that actually ties really well into the lesson contents for this level, because we talk about The third lesson is the longest one, honestly, but it's the one that covers academic integrity and how to sort of address um, responsible use a little bit, although that's also in lesson 4. But yeah, that's like a really cool example of how that's like put into practice. So thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Yes, and so with that good segue, I'll dive into the certification contents, give you all a quick overview in case you haven't had time to look it over. We do have this page on our website. It kind of talks through all of the different things that are involved in the course, but I'll just go ahead and show you all the course itself from the community. So if you all haven't joined the community yet, um, in general, we created the space for all the different Flint educators to be able to talk about how they're using Flint, what sorts of ideas they might want to be trying out, or what sorts of problems they might be facing. So that is like the general use of the community. But within the community, we have this course space where you can actually go in and look at the course content and like take any of the certification quizzes. This is open and available to anyone. You can log in with your Flint email account if you want it to be all tied together. But any like teachers who aren't in Flint yet or any schools that aren't in Flint yet are also welcome to use this. We want to make it a free resource available to everyone. But yeah, so within these lessons in the course, as the platform calls it, we have the introduction, which just has like a video and like a bit of overview of what the course is. And then also for each lesson, you'll see that there's a video at the beginning where Sohan kind of walks you through the basics of the lesson. I would say it's like a very high level overview, so reading the content afterwards is recommended. But yeah, in the content after that, it takes you through the topic more in depth. We've included some like graphics linked to additional sources, but yeah, trying to do like a very good overview that's pretty comprehensive of that topic. In addition to the content here, of course, once you're finished reading it, you can just complete lesson to move on to the next one. But also, if you have any comments that you'd like to leave about the content, there's the option to do that. And yeah, we would also highly like if you all give us any feedback as well. And then I do think there's also a section. Okay, not that section. I think ooh, once we add it, you all will be able to see that. Okay, here we go. um, yes, so with each lesson, there are the videos and then um, the content. And then once you go through everything, you can go to the quiz at the end. And this quiz will like automatically grade you and let you know if you passed or failed. You can retake the quiz if you didn't pass it the first time. But yeah, that's like kind of how everything works. Once you have taken the quiz, our team is going through everything a bit manually at the moment, but maybe we'll be able to automate this in the future. But yeah, Sun, who is on the call today, will go through and send you all your certifications via your email. And they kind of look something like this. Yeah. Yes. It looks like we have some questions. Go ahead. Uh, Courtney, I guess.
So the only thing that I have with the AI course, I'm taking it right now, is that the images are not accessibility. Like it wouldn't read the images to me. I just check those things because I build courses for my district and accessibility is really huge. And so I don't know if we could put like alt text underneath to explain those different things, but that's one thing that I noticed as I was taking the course this morning.
Okay. Yeah. That was also something that I've been thinking about because the platform that we use, Circle, I didn't see an option for us to add alt text, but maybe what we could do is like have images and also text so that all of the content is still covered in the text. But I'll definitely look at that after this meeting. Thank you so much for that feedback. Yeah. And Chandor?
I had some feedback on the quiz itself, at least for the first module.
Mhm.
Full disclosure, I failed with an 84%. Uh,
So close.
but so maybe it's just bitterness. But I noticed when you retake the test, it gives you the exact same questions, which seems a little odd from an AI company. And I think the quiz is a little lengthy, and some of the questions are a little too specific on terminology used in the course that actually has
Mhm.
nothing to do with AI. So like the SAMR model or two sigma this or whatever.
Mm.
So I think maybe the quiz needs a little recalibration, um,
Okay.
because if I'm failing it with a lot of prior knowledge on this stuff and having actually paid attention to the class, I don't see how my teachers can pass it.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think especially maybe level one, we could make it a bit more straightforward. You're actually not the first person to give us this feedback, so thank you again. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at the course questions and see if there's like a bit more straightforwardness or recalibration that we could do with it. But yeah, thank you.
It would be good if it gave you some more actionable feedback than just a pass fail. Like, you
Yeah.
need to go back and review this section, or like, these are the things you got wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, we've been thinking about that too. We are like a bit limited by the platform. It only gives us the option to either show all the answers or not show any of them. So we'll like see what we can do on our end. Maybe there's like multiple quizzes that we can put in, or like maybe we do the quizzes section by section so that people know like which section they're like struggling with more. But yeah, thank you for that. Great, awesome. Yeah, thank you all so much. This was some really good feedback. Oh, was there someone else who wanted to? Okay. Yeah, so that was kind of an overview of the course. You know, you have the videos that kind of cover the basics. Those you can like share with teachers as like a very quick overview. But yeah, the content we do recommend actually going through. There's a lot more in there that covers, you know, both in depth that topic and also how it applies to education. And then when it comes to the implementation side of things, um, these are like some numbers about the course if it's helpful. But most of the lessons take 10 to 15 minutes, except for lesson three, which is about, I would guess, 25 minutes. It's a bit more in depth. It has like all of the educational philosophy stuff in there too. Um, in total, though, the course should take about an hour. And the quiz does take like 30 minutes, but again, maybe we'll cut that a bit shorter. And yeah, these numbers may vary based on existing knowledge, of course. There might be parts that teachers kind of already know and they can skim over versus parts that maybe are brand new to them and they might want to read a bit more in depth. Yeah. And so with all of that in mind, I've listed some like potential implementation ideas here, but of course, like I'm not here implementing PD. So if you all have anything to add to this, please also feel free to raise your hand or speak up about that. But with the course taking about an hour, if you just sit down and do it, it could be an hour a day during a week of PD. If you have like a section during your PD week where you want to talk about AI, that could be what you all focus on. You could follow the course step by step. You could also treat it as pre-reading and not, of course, do the course in person. And then you can like discuss the contents during PD or look at applications of it during PD. Um, but also, of course, if you do like a full day PD, I would suggest breaking it up into three different sections. The first two lessons are more about like the foundational knowledge of what AI is and how it works. And then the applications of, in schools and industry is the beefier section. So that could be its own section. And then the last two are more about the skills that teachers might want to start practicing and learning in order to better communicate about how AI can be use in their platform, and then also better communicate with AI itself. Yeah, and then of course, like this course is on the more advanced side. We didn't want to make it so easy that, I mean, I guess honestly, most of our Flint users are, the people who are excited about AI and kind of already interested in it. So we wanted to allow this course to have some value for even the people who like know a decent bit about AI. But yeah, so you could have just like your AI pilot group or AI committee do the course and then have them do some peer-to-peer training, because we've seen that that can do really well at schools as well, where instead of it being like a very top-down approach to training, having people who are closer to them talk them through like all of the considerations that they should be having and also the opportunities that they can look at can help a lot as well with increasing teacher adoption and understanding. Yeah, is there anything that you all want to add to this, like potential implementation blocks? All good. If y'all think of anything later, feel free to let us know. Yeah, and then really quickly to go over the next two levels of the course as well. So this first level kind of covered like, I would say the basics of what teachers might want to look at when they're considering how to fully implement AI into their classroom, like the limitations, the strengths, how to talk about responsible use, and also how to effectively communicate with AI. Level 2 dives a bit more into the technical side of things and also the ethical and policy side of things. So we have like history of AI, fundamental technical concepts where it actually like talks through how the different pieces of AI work in order to output what it outputs. And then we also talk about bias and perception. I think that one's really interesting. And then data privacy for students and how teachers should be mindful of that. And then also regulations, policies, and ethics. And then level 3 is actually specifically about Flint. So we wanted to give everyone the option to train their teachers specifically on the tool that they might be using, since you all probably found this through our platform. So we'll go over like what is Flint chats and activities, getting started, and we'll put some pro tips in there as well. And then the Flint Capstone project is something exciting that we also want to share, where the idea is to allow teachers to go ahead and practice creating an activity that would be like meaningful and helpful for their students. And then we can use that as a way to kind of share amongst the school or amongst the Flint community of what is possible, especially after all of this background knowledge now on how AI works and how it can be implemented. Yeah. And then finally, last piece of the implementation side, just some like general goals to keep in mind from what we've heard from various schools that are doing these trainings. Firstly, it's where the training should have the goal of addressing concerns of teachers. Gisela like shared her own concerns earlier on this call, and I think it's very fitting that it's appearing as number one here. But yeah, a lot of teachers are very concerned and for good reason. And really, I think based on like what we saw in the data from before as well, really helping them understand how AI works, both its limitations and its abilities, can really help to address those concerns and move past them into thinking like, okay, this is, this is here. AI is not exactly going to disappear. So how can we understand what is going on so that we can address how we move forward with AI in education? Yeah, and then secondly, kind of along those lines, like empowering them with the knowledge to be able to have informed conversations. I do think like we're, as a society, still at the stage where we're still trying to figure out what to do with this technology. And in order to figure that out, I think it's pretty important to understand how to talk about it. So that's why like we kind of leaned into the terminology and all of that in the course. Maybe we can wean off it a little bit, but yeah, that was the thinking there. And then finally, inspiring people to use AI beyond just like a substitute for what you're currently doing with teaching. Yeah, what can AI enable for in terms of like new sorts of activities that you can do with students, new ways of assessment? How can you like really push it, push the boundaries of what your teaching can do using this new technology as a tool? Yeah, yeah, Gisela, go ahead.
So could you explain a little bit more item number 3? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, yeah. So the way that we kind of framed it in the course is through the SAMR model. It talks about how for most technology when it's first being adopted, we're using it to replace things that we were doing before, right? So um and like a example of that would be using AI to generate a worksheet or using AI to generate a vocab list, something that you would have done before as a teacher, but you're using AI to make it quicker or more comprehensive or something like that. Um, but beyond that, how can we think about how AI can enable new experiences or better learning for students? So like that could look like AI as a personal tutor to the student. Like that's not something that you were able to do as a teacher before, because AI can be there
Okay.
at any time. Yeah.
Yeah, and that takes me to, okay, thank you for explaining that because that makes it a little bit clearer.
Mhm.
So when the school year started and Flint was introduced to all the teachers in my department, the first reaction was of obviously horror. We're like, oh, here we go again. I mean, we've been fighting it since 2020, year
Mm,
5, now we have this thing. So at one point in the school year, something happened that I wasn't able to be there physically, and they needed to practice a conversation. And so I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was not easy to train the AI to follow my lead. It's like,
mm,
no, every time I view it, you're doing this. I don't want you to do that. And it dawned on me, maybe I should put the rubric we use and then explain the rubric to the AI and see how that comes out. I thought when I practiced as a native speaker of Spanish, it worked great. And I was like crossing my fingers because I was sick at home. And I'm like, I'm hoping this works. And I told the sub, don't worry about it. Just tell them to go to the school LMS and they just have to click on the link and do it. Well, the reaction was of great success. The kids loved the feedback from AI and they were able to learn. And then after that, I said, okay, speaking activities, that's where I'm going to use it.
yeah.
They're going to have to just speak. And then, as I said to you at the beginning of this, I said, okay, so we're going to do also the practice, but you're going to write it on paper first. I'm going to highlight, and you are writing it as you wrote it. And let's see what the AI tells you. And that was a little bit more tricky because I wanted the AI to understand how to give them the feedback that was close to me. Didn't work out as well, but yeah, I was able to use it as a kind of like a substitution of what I would have done if I would have been there. They would have done the practice with me, but
Mhm,
instead of being me, I had to use the AI. I had no other choice, and
mm.
it worked.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like something to add on to that is like if they are doing the practice with you, there's only one of you, you know. You have so many students, but with AI, they can all be practicing at the same time, and then you can be walking around and sort of facilitating. Yeah, so I think that's like kind of an example of like where it can be a substitute, but you can also take it like steps further. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing that. But yeah, that's all I had in terms of the implementation. Honestly, as we see more teachers using this, we'll get more feedback and hopefully we'll be able to do a session like this for level 2 as well. And then we could talk more about how schools are starting to use this. But yeah, I thought maybe we could do a quick Mentimeter I'm not sure if you all have seen this before, but it's like a live polling sort of activity. If you scan the QR code here, you'll be able to join the polling platform, I guess. And then on your phone, you can answer some of the questions. But I just wanted to kind of look at where people are right now with their training and what sorts of things you're looking to do in the future. So we know once you all are ready for that.
Hey, Lulu, I am actually using my phone.
Oh, okay. Um, hmm. Let me see.
I was able to take a picture and it took me to the page, but I don't know how
Yeah,
to click on it to continue.
let me see if I can. I sent the link in the chat.
Okay,
So
got
you
it.
might be able to click the link. It should, once you scan it, yeah. Honestly, maybe the link is just easier to use. Let me know if you all can get into there. Okay, cool. Saw a thumbs up. Let's see.
It says presentation in progress.
Hmm. Oh, I think that should be right. Yes. Okay. Let me see. All right. Do you all see this question on your screen? This might have been more complicated than it should have been. Um, okay, cool. Seeing some results come in. Awesome. But yeah, the first question is kind of what are teachers at your school doing right now? From like strongly disagree to strongly agree. Um, yeah, like are your teachers understanding the fundamentals of what AI is and how it works? Like, is that something that you all need to focus on? Are teachers already using AI a lot for themselves and a lot with students? And then do you feel like they're using AI effectively to better their teaching and student learning? Or do you think there's more that can be done there as well? Yeah. So it seems like kind of in the middle to lower part of the pack so far, where especially a lot of teachers are using AI for themselves. Um, yeah, if anyone wants to like speak up also and speak to what they're seeing at their school, feel free. But yeah, I'll just leave this one up for a moment.
I think those teachers at my school that are using Flint are really, really enjoying it. Um, so that's why I wanted to kind of get some practice in this summer with some of the students that I am tutoring this summer to kind of
Mm,
get my feet wet there.
awesome. Yeah. Is there
I do have a
anything?
question, Lulu.
Oh yeah, go
My
ahead.
question is, I was using Flint yesterday with a student, and when I create an activity, so I created a literature activity, and in that activity, can I name when I name it, do I name it that student's name? I know that's a
Mm,
choice, but how do I decipher which I know you assign the student, and after I assign the student, do you typically suggest you assign it that student's name or no?
oh. Um, So you can send an activity to multiple students. So we typically don't see teachers like naming an activity for a specific student. But if you are creating activities for those specific students, you could just share it directly with them. And if like for your own purposes, you want to add their name in there so that you like know which one's for which student, you can also do that. I can show you a bit more in depth maybe at the end of this call if that works.
Okay, that works.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Um, Yeah, cool. So with yeah, it seems like teachers are understanding some of the fundamentals, using AI for themselves, but still like on the developing side of using AI with their students and like effectively, as people in this call have deemed it, to better their teaching and student learning. I do have one more. So this is like a ranking one where wanted to kind of get a pulse on how people are, what is top of mind for schools right now? Like, are you looking at training teachers? Are you looking at training students? Are you wanting to get teachers using more AI? Is that like the focus of your PDs, or are you still like in the process of defining an AI policy? Or if there's something completely different that your school is looking at with AI? Um, yeah. Ooh, yeah. And then if anyone wants to like speak to how that has looked for their schools as well. I know like in the registration, I asked the question of like what PD is being done so far. If anyone wants to share what they've been doing, that'd be cool. Yeah, go ahead, Courtney.
So I'm a digital learning specialist for my district here in Broken Arrow. So we have a team of 5, and we have trained all 31 sites how to use AI with prompt engineering and things like that. And so all of them know about Magic School AI, ChatGPT, all of those things. And now my team is focusing on how to train, especially secondary teachers, how to use it in a way that is beneficial for their classroom, that doesn't scare them away from using it because they're afraid students are going to cheat. So, for example, I just read Co-Intelligence by, I don't remember his name, my book somewhere else, but the cyborg and centaur thinking of using AI is a really cool method that we're going to integrate with teachers. And one of the examples that he used that we're actually going to be using is having AI write the essay of whatever it is, and then having the students go through and annotate the essay and go through and like see how it created the content, and then sort of breaking it down that way. And so that's what we're really focusing on right now, is empowering teachers and students to using AI effectively. And so we've created like a whole entire rubric of like, you're allowed to use this much AI in this assignment versus this is a no AI assignment. And teaching them to know what their students are writing like, right? Like get a on paper writing sample at the beginning of the year. So then as you're going through, you know what their writing is like get a benchmark on that, right? Like make sure that you know how they write in August, you know how they write again in December, you know how they write again in March before, you know, AP tests and writing tests in 5th grade, things like that. And then you actually know what your students are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's what we're
amazing.
doing.
Yeah, go ahead, Izzy.
So I know at my school, we've done a lot of work with training teachers on the subject, but my current focus is training students because I think I'm seeing a lot of fear in that area, at least at my school, where it's like we're afraid to integrate AI for them because we're afraid they are gonna use it how to cheat, use it to cheat. But I I'd be curious as to any suggestions you have in how to train students on it so they're using it not for cheating but for learning, but still integrating AI into their lives and helping them see it less as a cheating tool and more as a helpful learning tool.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's like a bunch of different approaches. I think Courtney actually touched on one, but I think really showing students the abilities of AI, but also the limitations. So when she was giving that example of like having AI write an essay and then students critiquing it, I feel like that really, I've seen that example a couple times actually, and heard that it's worked really well, where the students are being very mindful of like the pitfalls of just like taking the AI's output at face value. where they're seeing like, oh, like the AI doesn't do super well in these aspects, or like, oh, we need to like double check like this random fact that the AI put in. So I think just like how teaching teachers how AI works and the strengths and limitations of it can help kind of course, increase understanding, but also assuage fears of like, AI just taking over everything and like it's like as good as a human. I think for students as well, teaching them about how it works and what sorts of limitations it has can also at least give them more pause, and help them learn that like, oh, if I just like have AI do my work, it's gonna be subpar. It's gonna be like average, if not worse, because it doesn't have the contents, the context of the thing that I'm working on. So I guess like kind of to um, have a good segue into that. We do have a student AI literacy course as well. This one is more like driven by like teachers or administrators, where we have like a video series, of course, but the bulk of this is actually in the slides that come with it. Okay, wait, hold on, let me find this one. Okay. And then with these slides, which you all are free to copy and also add to, we go through the different topics in more of like a student-centered view, also with like language that makes more sense to like middle or high school students, covering like what AI is, how it works, ethics and policies, applications, and a little bit on how to use Flint as well. So I think like this could be a good place to start, but generally, I feel like I give you a very long-winded answer, but generally like harping on like the strengths and limitations of AI and how it works and how it might not work, can be like really good for showing students both like where they should be careful and like why they shouldn't just trust it off the bat, and then also how other ways that they can use it might benefit them, like having AI quiz them or like having AI act like a tutor, and really increasing their own understanding that way. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, does anyone else want to add on to that as well? Yeah, I know from our little poll just now, most people are not really with the like huge focus of training students yet, but I'm sure that's like a next step after the teachers are trained. And I've seen like some schools kind of take it the opposite approach where they train the students to put some pressure on the teachers. But yeah. Cool. Okay. Nice. So we have some more time actually. Does anyone else want to share how their school has been training teachers and what has been covered so far? Yeah, I know.
I'm training teachers with Lulu.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I do run a lot of trainings for schools that are using Flint. Usually my training is like Flint specific. Uh, so yeah, that is an option if you all want to reach out to me. I can walk through like the platform and all of that too. Yeah. Does that?
I feel like I've been taking a lot of your time, but in my school, it was basically I kind of have to teach myself. And so when we first started using it, and I was using it just to test it out, just me creating something and then doing the previewing. This is before I got sick and I had no choice but to use it. It was just, oh, here it is. You have access to it. You're gonna love it. So we were like, okay. So at the beginning of last year, when we were told in August that we were going to use this, it looked completely different from what it looked now. Once I became part of the community of Flint, I started getting emails. Oh, look at what we have now. This is another new change. So I was the one that started just getting people in the departments like, hey, you really should. I mean, this is just like so much better. For the teachers who teach Spanish like me, it's easy to find a lot of material out there that you can use for speaking, listening, writing, whatever. Flint by far has been the best one. But for the Mandarin teachers, they were the first ones that I signed up for this because they're like, you've got, no, I tried at the beginning of the year. It sounded awful. I'm like, no, try it now. Try it now. I swear to you, it sounds better. Um, it has even Spanish from Costa Rica versus Puerto Rico and, Venezuela, Colombia. So you can put the different accents now. And she goes, what? I'm like, yeah, let me show you. So I got the Mandarin teachers to use it first. And that's where it stayed. It's interesting because the year ended, and I want to say we had like maybe 3 weeks of school left. And that's when finally the person in charge of the department said, oh, let's get the teachers together for language. And I'm sitting there and I'm like just going, why am I here? So it took a while, but I think the second time that they sat the teachers and said, okay, here's how you have access. Actually click here, do this. It was a lot better, but I can tell you that at the beginning, I think they're going to do better next year. I'm not going to be there, but they're going to do better, the IT department this year because they also understand it better. But I think they were stumbling. Oh, please use it without really. Oh, here it is, a new tool, and people were like, eh. And now it's like, oh yeah, I want to use it. So it was a slow start.
Yeah, for sure. And really quickly to touch on that, like AI is changing so fast. Whatever training that you do now, like might not be relevant or like might not be sufficient in like a month from now. Um, when I was looking into the stats, I think in 2024 there were 40 prominent AI, like new AI models that came out of the US. And that's just out of the US, and like other countries are like developing their AI industries more and more. So yeah, everything is changing all the time. It's really hard to manage, honestly. But yeah, it kind of is just important to like be on top of it. And like that's why like our team puts out a lot of information on like what we're doing. Sorry if it's like a little too much sometimes. I do know we're emailing you all the time at this point, but there's just like so much that's going on and so many new things that are being enabled through AI. Yeah, I know Courtney, you had your hand raised for a sec, but was that also what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was going to say this is right now is the worst AI you will ever use. Every single day, it's the worst AI that you will ever use because it's I mean, it's like whiplash sometimes trying to keep up with, all of the different things that are going on. I mean, like I'm constantly reading tons of articles and I'm like, oh, that changed from 2 weeks ago. Like now it can do this. And like speaking on that, there was a comment that says that AI sucks at math, but it's getting so much better. Like I was using the Conmigo AI that they were using, and it's actually very good with its math reasoning skills. And so they have basically trained a Gem or a ChatGPT or whatever the heck you want to call it. They've trained one to have those kind of responses that actually go with mathematics. So I mean, like again, this is going to be the worst that we ever see, and it's still pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of that, like when we talk about AI generally, like it's a lot of AI right now is the large language models. So they're like trained on just language, and that's why it's not really good at math just on its own. But what a lot of companies are starting to do is connect the large language models with other tools. So like for example, Flint, we like have a built-in Python calculator that the large language model has access to. So all of the calculations are being done with like an actual like coded calculator, rather than just having the language model just like guess what the number should be. So yeah, beyond that, there's like, web search nowadays. There's like the opportunity for you to like upload additional content and have that like be the training basis for like a specific activity or a specific chat. And so there's just like, beyond like AI itself, but also the ecosystem around AI is changing so much. So yeah, that's just where we are now. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for your comment, Tim. I don't know if you want to speak more to it, but like the things that AI is not yet good at, like the nuance and personal engagement and reflection. I do think like specifically like understanding the context is like a huge chunk of what AI is missing right now. Um, yeah, of course it like doesn't know the best practices of a teacher. It hasn't like actually been in a classroom. Yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to touch on any of that, Tim. All good. Yeah. Thanks anyways. Yeah. Go ahead, Courtney.
Sorry, I'm really passionate about this.
Yeah.
One of the things that like a lot of people don't understand is you have to teach the AI who it is. You can't just go onto a large language model and say like, okay, I need Spanish help, or I need help with calculus, or I need help with this. It's no, you are a native Spanish speaker from this place and you use this vernacular versus that. Like, you have to be very, very specific in what you want it to do and what you want it to be. And once you give it that specifications, you'll be, I mean, mind blown at how well it does perform in the way that you need it to perform. But that's one of the main things is you have to tell it who it is, and you have to let it know what you specifically want it to focus on. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Peter's saying really as a teacher, you're training a co-teacher. Yeah, I think that's like a really good way to look at it. And I think it's like one of the things we cover in lesson 5 of the training. But really like so many teachers come to me with like, oh, it's like not following my rules or it's like not doing this. And I'm like, well, it's not approaching it from the persona of a teacher. Like you're telling it like like don't be helpful, but what does that mean in terms of like a teaching context and a student who's trying to learn? So really like explaining that persona to the AI, like telling it, hey, this is who you're supposed to be, like Courtney was saying, is really helpful for communicating effectively with it. And like I feel like these are like things that we are learning as a community, as a society. And yeah, only like more things will get added onto how all of this like troubleshooting and honing AI's behavior can look in the future. Um, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, I know we have like 10-ish minutes of our allotted time left, so I'm gonna really quickly wrap up. But of course, if there's anything else that people would like to share at the end, feel free to. But yeah, I know we got some like really good feedback earlier in this call about the the course so far. So again, like just want to stress that like this is version 1 of level 1. If we want to hear like all of your feedback and how we can improve what we've already put out there. So feel free to reach out to our team or Sun specifically, who is like managing this initiative of ours, at sun@flintk12.com if you have any feedback. But yeah, you can also find us at like support@flintk12.com, or you can email me, lulu@flintk12.com. Yeah, so yeah, please let us know your thoughts. And as for like future campfire sessions, the next one that we want to run is successful Flint pilots. So how to run a successful pilot, what you should be looking for, how you can set that up. And then I'm also planning on doing one on summer work and reading, how to, you know, create activities that might act in partnership to summer work that you assign students and how you can like kind of manage that. And yeah, all of you all who joined the call will get a recording in your inbox, but you can also find the recording for this call soon at our website here once I put it together and post it, and all of the other recordings are also available there. Yeah, great. So couple more QR codes. There's one for the Campfire calendar. If you haven't subscribed to that yet, you'll be notified of when new sessions come up. And then the New Flint community, which is where the course lives right now, is also here. And we do have like the option for you all to talk more about the topics that we cover in the community. So I'll be making a post for that soon after this call so that you all can have like a space there to talk about all of that. Yeah. Any final thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? If not, you all are free to go. I did promise Sherelle I would help her with something, so I'll be here doing that. But if there are any other thoughts, feel free to chat with me. And yeah, thank you all again for joining today.